It's Alirien, and welcome to our Samhain readings for 2024. Samhain, as described in the recipe video and in previous Samhain videos here on my channel, is a time of reflection and giving thanks. Many people call it the Witch's New Year because it marks the ending of the wheel, which begins again at Yule. But as far as I can tell, circles technically have no beginning and end. So if you were to mark a point that is the beginning, that would also be the end and the new beginning. So Yule, for me, is the new year. Samhain is more like the witch's Thanksgiving in my practice. It is meant to be parallel to our own American Thanksgiving here in the States, where we take the time to be around those we love and be thankful for everything that we do have and everything that is a blessing in our lives. We evaluate what we do not have and whether we need it or don't, what we need to do in the coming year to bring in those new things we're still missing. And more than anything else, we honor the spirits of those that we have lost. In many traditions, this can involve going to visit the graves of loved ones, making sure they're clean and leaving offerings, lighting incense and candles, and making space for the spirits and souls of our departed family members to find their way back to us and visit. As with any of the Sabbats, it's a fantastic time to engage in divination, especially right now since the veil is thinnest between the worlds. You can often get stronger, louder, more profound messages at this time and at Beelzebub than you would at any other point in the year. So, with that in mind, these readings will likely be to the tune of what you need to reflect on, where you need to make sure you are grateful, and how you need to start preparing for the last weeks of this wheel so that you can begin again at Yule, the new year. Or it will be any particularly important messages from those beyond the veil who have been trying to get in touch with you and what you really need to hear that you perhaps have not quite caught yet. Being that it is currently Scorpio season, we will be starting with Scorpio and ending with Libra. As with all of my divination here on YouTube and over in the Twitch streams when we do them, first and foremost, take what resonates. As one last reminder, I do offer personal tarot readings through my website, aliriencosplay.com. You can find that in the Linktree portal in the description. You will provide me your email address at the time of booking, and you can also list a specific question or concern that you have, otherwise it's a general reading. And I will sit down and film the whole process of shuffling, drawing, and interpreting to email that video to you. All of that said, candle is lit, the altar is set. Let's go ahead and shuffle and draw our first reading for Scorpio. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, we are following the same format that we usually do in all of these, where we're reading 3 cards from a Waite-Smith style tarot. In this case, we are using the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sterle, and our oracular component, which we will draw a single card from, at least that's the intention, sometimes extra cards jump, is the Messages from the Mermaids Oracle by Karen Kay and Linda Olsen. Alright, now we will shuffle. Cards for Scorpio. Whoa. Good job. Okay. Alright, Mermaids, what do you think? Scorpio, you have pulled for this Samhain season the Star, the World inverted, 10 of Swords inverted, this is actually the fun version of the card, I'll explain in a moment. The bottom of the deck, I had a moment where I couldn't remember which stack in my head was actually the bottom, so we're rolling with both cards that were at the bottom, but I think they both make sense for this. They were intended to both be part of this. The High Priestess and the King of Pentacles. Your Mermaid Oracle card to complete this is Letting Go. Scorpio, you are nearing the end of some sort of journey. You're nearing some sort of goal, some achievement. This is evident in the World as well as the 10 of Swords. So start to think about what is the next thing that you are going to focus on, that you are going to move forward on. What goal, what path, what achievement, sorry. The King of Pentacles and the High Priestess both being at the bottom. The High Priestess is a card of intuition and inner voice. So your main focus now, especially since you are nearing this end and a new beginning, is to listen to that voice inside yourself. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, really be in tune with it. And the King of Pentacles is a card of abundance, efficiency, and accountability. So what this means is there is abundance for you at the end of this path and as you continue into the next journey, but you need to be sure that you are taking accountability for your actions and your words and how they affect other people, how they affect whatever situation, whatever goal, but also don't be afraid to hold other people accountable. The King of Pentacles is the leader. He sees the big picture and he does everything he can to maintain security in that abundance, right? You are encouraged to be discerning, especially when it comes to work and money, your home and its security, and how comfortable and well maintained it is, not just with like the furnishings that you enjoy seeing in it, but also all of the physical aspects that need to be maintained in order for that home to be kept up. Make sure all of your appliances are working. Make sure that you're properly handling anything electronic. Keep up with changing the light bulbs. Don't keep your air conditioner too low, your heater too high. You get the idea, right? The Star is a card of hope. Is the light beyond the tunnel. The Star in the major arcana comes directly after the Tower. So it is that realization that things did not end when the Tower fell. There is new light. There is that new bright spot that you can start moving toward to keep focused on and keep you moving toward that goal. It is the light at the end of the tunnel, and that together with the inverted world says that you are coming to the end, but the inverted world signals a lack of closure. There is still something that is not quite done. You are close, but you're not there yet. The Ten of Swords, and this is the version that says everything is fine at the bottom, with it being inverted, everything is actually going to be fine. You are starting to recover. Whatever issue went wrong, right? You are past that, or at least you're starting to move past that. This is the time for you to really look at what happened and realize, okay, I survived. I came out way better than I anticipated. What can I learn from this? I am more resilient than I gave myself credit for. I am strong. I am capable. Find that closure. Finish whatever is left to do so that you can start recovering. And the letting go mermaid fits in perfectly with this. There is, I think, the lack of closure. I think what's not finished is that you're holding on to something that you don't need to hold on to anymore. It no longer affects you. Learn all the lessons there are to learn about whatever part of this situation you're still holding on to. It's feeling very much like maybe you've got a grudge in some way. You feel someone wronged you when you never got an apology. And it hurts, but sometimes we're not ever going to get that apology. So you are going to have to be responsible and accountable for your own closure in this situation. You're going to have to look at the situation and go, well, that wasn't great. I really didn't like it. But based on this person's behavior in all of the time I knew them, especially down to that moment, and the lack of response or accountability from that person, there are two things I can do. I can approach this person and explain to this person, hey, this thing that you said or did really hurt me, and I just need you to know that so that hopefully you don't hurt someone else that way in the future like you did me. And either they'll go, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know, but thank you for telling me. How can I make it right? Or they'll double down. They won't apologize. And from there, you can take solace in, okay, sometimes all I need to do is just have that civil and mature conversation with somebody. Or you can take solace in, well, then I suppose this person doesn't need to be that involved in my life, and I can move on knowing that I haven't really lost anything special by walking away from this person. But you need to find a way to get that closure, even if you have to be responsible for it yourself. If this is a situation where you can't go talk to that person, then there's no point hemming and hawing over they never apologized anyway. Because if you can't go talk to this person and explain what happened, then they're still probably not going to apologize. At this point, it's on them to apologize. And the other side of this accountability from the King of Pentacles is make sure that there's nothing you said or did in the situation that added to the tension and perhaps pushed that person to say or do what they did. Because there are two sides to every story. And you could be feeling wronged, but they could also be feeling wronged and waiting for an apology from you. So the best thing to do would be to try to have that conversation. But if for whatever reason it absolutely cannot happen, then you just need to evaluate everything as unbiased as you can. And I know that's hard sometimes, especially for the water signs, because we get super emotional, right? You need to sit down and look over the situation, figure out whether a conversation can be had. If it can, have it. If it can't, move on. And if you had that conversation, once that conversation is had, move on. Let go of it and move on so that you can recover, so that this journey that is nearing its end can come to that end successfully, and so that you can start fresh with something new once you get out of this tunnel, once this world turns itself upright and the circle is complete. Sagittarius has pulled a few extra cards. We have the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck, the Fool, the King of Pentacles, the Star, the Eight of Cups, the Inverted World, and your Mermaid is Gentleness. Sagittarius, you will notice that 3 of your 6 tarot cards are identical to Scorpio's reading. You are having a breakthrough of some kind. Whatever obstacles, whatever burnout you might have been experiencing lately, it's about to lift. And I'm noticing we have 3 out of the 4 minor arcana. So your creativity and your passion and your drive have not faltered. It's your mind and your emotions and your physical security and ability to keep going that have perhaps faltered or made you doubt. The Ace of Swords says there's a breakthrough coming. You're about to have things line up in such a way that it's gonna flip in your head of, okay, I can get back up, I can keep going. Rather than this, I'm so tired and I can't get everything done and I'm running out of time, and you're not gonna be worrying about all that. We do also have the Fool, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed beginner, right? It's the leap of faith. You are being urged to trust the process, to trust that your ancestors, your spirit guides, your gods, if you work with any or believe in any, whatever forces have your back, really, truly, very sturdily have your back. And they are going to help guide you all of the turns that you need to make for what you are currently doing to succeed. The King of Pentacles is abundance. He is accountability. He is responsibility and security. There is abundance here. You probably are more abundant, physically speaking, in terms of security and finances or career than you thought you were for a minute. The fact that you've been able to get to this point says that you are more abundant than you gave yourself credit for. Trust that when the time comes for you to expand your equipment, to get that promotion or that raise in order to make things easier, it will happen. But for now, don't worry about it. You are capable of doing what you have set out to do with what you have. And when such time comes that you are no longer capable in your current capacity, your guides, your spirit team is going to help guide you toward whatever change needs to occur so that you are once again capable. The Star, as I indicated with Scorpio, is a card of hope. It is the light at the end of the tunnel. Things are, whatever journey you're on is starting to reach this pinnacle point, and the difficult stuff is starting to give way to an easier road. The Eight of Cups, along with the Inverted World, are something you still need to work on, and the accountability of the King of Pentacles can come into play here. Emotionally, there is something you need to move on from, and it's something that has weighed on you fairly heavily, I think, because of the world being what is indicating this lack of closure, that something has been left incomplete. There's some unfinished business you have that you need to take care of in order to take full advantage of all of this. And part of that, I believe, is the Mermaid. Gentleness. You need to be kind and gentle with yourself. I think perhaps you have been doubting so much because you're tired, because you're burned out, because you are struggling to keep up with these goals that you have perhaps set for yourself. This is feeling self-imposed. Let go of some of the deadlines, I think. I think you need to move on from this really rigid structure you have tried to fit yourself into, because that's what everybody else does and that's how everyone else who has taken this path has succeeded in. I think you need to get a little further out of that box of trying to match what other successful people in your avenue have done in order to gain their success. You are not them. Find solace in how you are different, in how You are capable without following every precise step that these other people made. You are meant to walk a different path, as is evident by the figure walking away from these cups. She has literally crossed over a water obstacle in order to get away from this, because she and you know, she's got all of her hiking gear ready in order to forge that new path, because she understands, she has realized the path that is well trod is not for me. I am meant to go a different way and find something new in ways that other people have not figured out yet. You, Sagittarius, are meant to blaze a trail. Get out of this mindset that you have to do everything, or anything for that matter, identically to the other people you look up to who have already succeeded at what you're trying to succeed at. That is your closure, and you need to be gentle with yourself. You need to be kind to yourself. Don't be angry with yourself. Don't be mean to yourself. Be kind how you talk to yourself, because often we don't realize just how much our own words toward ourselves, especially when we're doubting, when we're tired, when we're burned out, can make it more difficult to get out of that rut and recover and get back up and keep going. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Stop trying to do everything the way others have already done. Strike out on that new path and know that there is so much that is waiting for you that is going to make it so much easier. You just have this little hurdle to reframe your own perspective in your head. And once you do, that is going to be the breakthrough, and there's going to be so much good on the other side of that. Capricorn, you have pulled for Samhain the Hanged Man, the Tower, the Inverted Moon, the Inverted Queen of Cups, and the Mermaid of the Future. Capricorn needs a fresh perspective. You need to completely shift your mental state about something. The Hanged One, being the bottom card, nails this home so heavily. That together with the Future card, which is also all about how your perspective and your mindset can fundamentally change your outlook on the future, and in turn, how much potential and what kind of potential your future has. If you go into any scenario with already having decided that it's going to be awful, it's not going to go the way you're expecting, it's not going to go the way you want it to go, it has less incentive to surprise you. Another way to think about it, there's a concept that my boyfriend quotes: witch hunters find witches. People who are pessimistic inevitably will find all of the confirmation to continue being pessimistic. On the other hand, optimists, more often than not, will keep finding means to be positive about a scenario. Whatever is going on, you are confused, you are feeling very insecure, and something is going to happen that is going to heavily shake you, and it's going to force you to assess the situation in full and assess how you have been thinking and feeling and acting about it. This is very emotionally driven because of the moon and the Queen of Cups, and the mermaids are inherently water-based as well. You need to get your emotional state in check, and this Tower moment is going to force you to evaluate it, and you will have to make the choice of whether you're going to keep closing off and being perhaps even cold and cruel to yourself or to others because you just can't believe that this situation is going to take a turn for the better or go well at all, or are you going to try to reframe it? Take a step or two back, go focus on something else for a bit, come back with fresh eyes and with an open mind, an open heart, and really look at the situation. Find positive spin. Find the ways in which this still can work out. It doesn't have to go the way you want it to, or you've convinced yourself you need it to. It just has to go. And the outcome can still be good, even if it's not checking all of the boxes that you've decided need to be checked in order for it to be a positive outcome in your brain. I'm getting the sense that in some way, in excitement over the situation, you have perhaps tried to lay out for yourself how this is probably going to go. But somewhere along the way, you got so tied to that itinerary that you have laid out for the universe that now you have no capacity for being surprised in a good way. Shift your perspective. One of the best ways to shift perspective is to just walk away and forget about it and come back, like I said, with fresh eyes, fresh heart. I have a sneaking suspicion that the universe itself, life itself, is going to force you to have to reevaluate and reframe. It doesn't have to follow every step that you have laid out in order for it to be going well. And more than anything else, you need to keep a positive, open heart about this situation. Be aware of the ways, of the things that can go wrong and the ways in which it can divert from what you would prefer. But remember that the way you're envisioning it is your single human idea of how it might go. It's not an itinerary that has to be followed to the letter. I think you're being encouraged to remember or relearn how to go with the flow in this season. Aquarius has drawn the inverted High Priestess, the Six of Cups, the inverted Ace of Pentacles, and your mermaid is inner knowing. Aquarius needs to listen to the voice inside a little more right now. The inverted High Priestess together with inner knowing say to listen to your intuition, follow your gut, be in touch with yourself, because ultimately, whatever situation you're dealing with, something that you were meant to learn this year or that you're meant to learn in the year to come, how to hear and trust that intuition that you have always had. It can be difficult because Aquarius, being air-oriented, tends to be logical, tends to rely on thought and mind power more than letting emotions get into anything. But you can't be one without the other. You are not just a mental being, you are an emotional being. You are not just mental or emotional, you are also physical. You are not just those three, you are also spiritual. You have to have all four facets, and they have to work in tandem. Listen to your gut, because I guarantee you it's been trying to tell you something that you've been missing, because you've been, trying to write off these feelings as just nerves, perhaps, just anxiety rearing its ugly head. Sometimes that is the case, not always. And I get that it's difficult to know the difference and know which inner thoughts to trust. The Six of Cups indicates that you're feeling nostalgic right now. There are happy memories coming up, perhaps even a reunion with someone from your past that you haven't seen in a while, which is good. And in some ways, this is meant to help steer you, right? It's meant to bring you back to some former part of yourself that you've perhaps lost. It's probably tied to this intuition that you've stopped listening to. There is an opportunity that is potentially being missed if you don't heed this. That is the inverted Ace of Pentacles. It's a lost opportunity, some sort of missed chance. Look for whatever this reunion is, because it's going to help you. The Knight of Wands closes this out, reminding you how resilient you are. You've already been through so much in your life, so there is no reason for you to doubt whether or not you can get through whatever you're dealing with now. This too shall pass. You are resilient. The fight's not over yet, but it's so close. You're in the final stretch. You just gotta listen to that gut. Let this nostalgia, these things that are resurfacing in your past, help steer you, and listen to your gut. Your intuition is trying to tell you something and trying to steer you in the right path toward this opportunity. You just need to listen for it. Be open to it. Pisces has drawn the inverted Queen of Swords, the Ace of Wands, the Chariot, the Page of Swords, and your mermaid says go with the flow. I'm gonna start with the mermaid because Pisces, you're a water sign. You should be pretty good at this. I think that you, like Sagittarius, have been dealing with some burnout and starting to get into this headspace of what's the point? Nothing ever seems to work out for me, so why should I ever expect it to work out for me? Don't be so bitter. Timing is a very, very tricky thing with spirit, with the universe, whatever you want to call it. Timing's a tricky thing because not every entity that has some sway over what happens in our life works with time the way that we as humans are forced to perceive it. And I think you've been perhaps bouncing between periods of having a lot of energy and getting a bunch of stuff done, perhaps to the detriment of other things falling away to the wayside, losing touch a little bit with friends or family, not being the best at keeping up with conversations and being involved in their lives, or having these periods where we're struggling to get anything done because suddenly we have to focus on taking care of ourselves physically or emotionally, mentally, whatever it might entail. I think you, like many people these days, get so caught up in trying to get all this work done to be productive and to make the life you're trying to build for yourself until you literally cannot keep going. Your body forces you to stop and recover. So then you get into this awful mindset that you're a terrible person, you're unproductive, you're not worth any of the success you're working toward because you can't keep up with it because your body is forcing you to stop. Until you have enough energy to keep going again, or you say, screw it, I'm gonna keep going in spite of how I feel. And it keeps going in a circle. Go with the flow. Let yourself rest when you need rest. Let yourself work when you have the energy to work. And once you've done the work you can on something, and it's no longer in your control, don't stress about it. What's meant to happen with it, once it's out of your control, will happen whether or not you are worrying about it. So stop worrying about it, and don't be hard on yourself if it doesn't go the way you wanted or needed it to after it was out of your grasp, because there was nothing else you could have done, one way or the other, to change the outcome. Once your hands are off the ball, you can't control where it goes. You can certainly hope, you can pray, you can make requests to whoever it is that now has their hands on the ball, but you can't actually force anything to go any particular way once that ball is out of your hands. I'm using sports analogy, which is very rare for me. But you get the idea. Don't be bitter. Don't be cruel. Because you have so much new energy coming along. The Ace of Wands is a fresh spark of energy, of inspiration. It's going to rekindle and set that passionate, creative fire within you ablaze again. You're going to be rejuvenated. The Chariot is fast movement. It is clear direction. It is renewed control over the circumstances. The Page of Swords is curiosity and restlessness and mental energy as well. As you relinquish some of the control and some of the blame to yourself over things that don't go the way you planned, either timing-wise or outcome-wise, this energy and new speed toward your goal is going to be all yours. Your mind will be fresh, your heart will be fresh, and you're gonna have this renewed sense of drive that, okay, it might not always go the way that I intend or that I plan or that I expect, but it is going to go, and I am still going to reach this goal. I have every capacity to reach this goal. I just gotta be able to shift course every now and then a little more naturally when obstacles occur. Let go. You are water. Be water. Flow like water. Sometimes water rushes really fast. It can be super destructive, and sometimes it's slow and trickling and calming. You are capable of both of these, and you need to strike a balance in that. Go with the flow. Be like water. In Aries spread for Samhain, we have the inverted Three of Swords, the inverted Page of Pentacles, the inverted Ten of Cups, the inverted Two of Pentacles, and the Patience Mermaid. Ooh, Aries. Bit of a rough spot, huh? Maybe just a skosh. I'm downplaying, I know. You definitely need to focus on recovery right now, on letting yourself heal from whatever has transpired is transpiring. The inverted Three of Swords indicates that you are starting to heal, you are starting to move forward. You are recovering from whatever has happened, but you are still reeling from what has happened. The Patience card from the Mermaid Oracle indicates just that, to be patient with yourself. Give yourself time, because this is going to take time. The inverted Page of Pentacles reads as impracticality to me. You're perhaps hoping that you will recover from this faster than is reasonable. You're not gonna get over it in a day. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not gonna get over it in a day. I understand that this fiery spirit of yours just wants to move on and be over with it and, start the next part of your life, but if you try to overcome it too fast, you're gonna swerve out later on down the road. Anything that comes back up from this is going to hit harder than you really want to let it, but it's gonna have no choice but to confront it. So take your time. It will be easier in the long run, and it will be a long run. Inverted Ten of Cups indicates that this is some sort of relationship. This could be family oriented, it could be romantic, but in some way a relationship is breaking apart, has broken apart. There were heavy dreams involved as well. I'm almost wondering if this was a romantic relationship where you thought this was the one. You might have even been engaged, and something has occurred, and that is no longer the option. I don't know if it's a breakup or if something else of similar heaviness has rendered that this relationship is no longer available. But it has clearly hit you hard. This either feels like a very, very hard breakup, like an engagement breaking off, or like the other person in this relationship might have passed. This feels heavy. Whatever it is, I'm so sorry. These dreams you had may no longer be available with this person. It doesn't mean you have to give up on them forever, and it doesn't mean that you can't find happiness again. The Two of Pentacles tells me you are overwhelmed, your balance has shifted, you're struggling to keep up. Your focus right now needs to be, like I said, on being patient with yourself and with this healing and grieving process. Even if you're not grieving a person that has been lost, you can still grieve the dreams and the possibilities and the relationship. You can grieve for that which you loved that you can no longer have without missing the parts that weren't good. I hope that makes sense. Take your time. This is not I'll be over it in a day or a week or even a month. It might take the better part of the next year to really fully heal. And I say fully. We never truly get over grief like this. What happens instead is that the rest of our life continues to grow and expand so that little by little that grief just feels like a smaller part of our lives. It starts to feel like 25% and then 10% and then 1% instead of being the full scope of what you can see fresh off the heels of it. You will recover from this. You will heal. You will find ways to move on, but give yourself time. Focus on taking each thing you need to do, both to take care of yourself and, for the sake of job, for the rest of your family, for the rest of your friendships, whatever they are. Take everything one step at a time. Try your best to maintain as much of a balance with everything else, because you don't want to lose yourself to the grief. You are not your grief. You are not the heartbreak. It is part of you and your story, but you are not it. Take everything one step at a time and just be patient with yourself. Taurus, you have pulled inverted Six of Cups, inverted Six of Pentacles, Ten of Wands, Strength, and the Mermaid Oracle, Love. I'm not sure what has brought Taurus to this point, but the inverted Six of Cups usually is a clinging to the past. I think there's been some sort of shift, there's some change occurring for Taurus that has made you uncomfortable and has unseated you in ways that are causing you to wish that the change wasn't happening, even though somewhere inside your brain you must know that this change had to occur. This had to happen. Change is inevitable. And it's probably the one thing that will never change about life is that things are always going to change. Inevitably. Nothing lasts forever in this life and in this world. So I think you're clinging to the past and to nostalgia and almost using it as a bit of escapism to try to ignore the bigger, more important things that are happening right in front of your face. The inverted Six of Pentacles often indicates a giving with expectations attached. Like you're giving to people, but there are so many strings attached that the other people are actually worse off for having received from you. You're being dishonest, you're being selfish. And the Ten of Wands definitely reads to me as the burden aspect more than the accomplishment aspect. It could be a bit of both. You've reached some point that you once were really proud of, but now it's become this really, really heavy weight. And I think you're realizing that whatever path you were on, whatever tendencies and behaviors you were engaging in to get to this point, you're perhaps realizing were in fact incredibly unhealthy to everyone involved, especially yourself. And now you're at a point where you don't know how to get out of it. And you're afraid to start trying to get out of it because of all of these other things that are going to come crashing down around you that you're afraid to see fall. But isn't it better to be honest and have integrity than to be successful off the shoulders of dishonesty, off of showing a face to the world of being generous and loving and caring, but when the cameras are off and no one else is watching, you're actually greedy and selfish and kind of a dick. I'm not saying it's necessarily that extreme, but this is kind of what's reading to me, is that there's something below the surface There's a disconnect between the face presented to the world and the truth behind your incentives. The Strength card is indicating that however this sorts out, whether it's by you realizing that better needs to be done, that you need to be better, do better, make right by this, or it comes to pass that better happens regardless of whether you choose to be part of it. The Strength card is reminding you that whatever happens here is not going to be the end for you. You are strong enough to get through this. You are strong enough to handle this shift and survive these changes. As I said, change is inevitable. It's going to happen. And whatever change is occurring is more likely than not for the better good, for your better good, so that you can learn and grow and move closer to the point of being the person that you are supposed to be, that you are capable of being. And with that, the Mermaid card of love is stressing to you to remember that love must be unconditional. If it's conditional, it's not love. It's expectation. It's pressure. It's false. Relationships can be conditional, but love itself is not. Should not be. So whatever you've been engaging in that you've been calling love, but having all of these strings attached, you either need to cut the strings yourself and relieve that pressure on the other person and yourself, or you need to stop calling it love. Gemini has drawn for Samhain the inverted Knight of Swords, inverted Eight of Swords, Eight of Wands, the Lovers, and your Mermaid Oracle is Contemplation. Some consideration is needed, Gemini. That is very much what I'm getting a lot of decision making, a lot of use your head from this, and I think you're recognizing that you've perhaps been a little too reckless and you've not really been thinking through your words and your actions before you speak and act. The Knight of Swords indicates this. It's a lack of direction, a disregard for consequence. And I think you're starting to recognize that you've perhaps been acting without thinking, and that has perhaps gotten you into not really the situation you want to be in. But the Eight of Swords being inverted shows me that you're recognizing this. You had more hand in getting into the situation than you might have initially realized, and thus you recognize that you have the agency to get back out as well. You've gained that new perspective. You're accepting the role you had in ending up where you are, and accepting that you have a role to play in getting back out. The Eight of Wands signifies rapid action and quick decisions. Things are going to start moving faster now that you've recognized this, and you're going to sort of shift gears and try to do better by yourself. The Lovers is partnership, so there is probably somebody else involved that you're going to have to bounce these ideas and these choices off of, but more so I think because this one also indicates choices and decisions, and the Contemplation card, I think more so there's a particularly important decision that will present itself to you, and while you might have a limited period of time before you need to make that decision, for better or worse. I just saw a hawk fly by. I love hawks. And it's perfect. You need to take all of the time you have to make that decision, to really think about all of the options, the pros, the cons, and all of the consequences, and consider if you are prepared to deal with the consequences of the choice you ultimately make. You need to see everything, big picture and small. And this goes for every decision you make, but there's one particularly important one that's coming up that you're really going to need to think about. Don't pick for the sake of picking because you have a limited period of time. Think about everything before you act, before you speak, before you step. You need to know whether you're stepping on solid ground or in the mud or about to take a, long walk off a short pier. Take your time and think. You're an air sign, Gemini. You are mentally oriented. Use that head for more than a hat rack. Cancer, you have pulled the Four of Pentacles. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. You have the Four of Pentacles in the bottom of the deck, the inverted Six of Wands, the Queen of Swords, inverted King of Pentacles. Your Mermaid Oracle is Hope. And the reason I said that was funny, I picked up the Four of Pentacles, and the next card is the Star, which is also the card of hope. There's a two-side coin here for Cancer right now. Four of Pentacles indicates security, stability, frugality to a point, being careful where you spend what you have to spend. And that's not just in terms of money, but your energy, your time, how quickly you work through your food that you already have at home versus ordering takeout or going out to eat. You need to maintain a certain baseline of your security. But that said, you are in a decent place in terms of that security, but there's a level of self-doubt here that's occurring, or reward without any recognition to it. I think you've accomplished something or earned something recently. It wasn't treated as big of a deal by others as you felt it was, or you aren't recognizing the full weight of what you received. You don't think it's as big as the universe thought it was when it led you to this. The Queen of Swords shows me that you are receptive. You are usually pretty clear-headed, and right now especially, you're thinking pretty clearly and pretty logically. But in terms of your perspective about your physical security, I don't know if this is to do with finances, if this is to do with your home or your career, but there's some disconnect where you are secure, but you're wanting for more. And I'm wondering if somehow you're concerned. I think you're concerned that you're gonna dry up the resources you have too quickly, so you'd rather get more to know that you've got enough of a cushion. But I don't think you need to do that. I think this reward without recognition, I think you are not seeing what you've already earned for the full weight and volume that it occupies. You're very concerned that what you already have to pull from as you move forward down this path won't actually end up being enough. Even though I presume you have no plans to necessarily quit your job. You have no plans to move house immediately. You don't have any huge plans to suddenly drastically shift your security. Why are you so worried? What you have now might not be enough on its own, but you're gonna keep pulling in those paychecks. You're gonna keep working. And I get the sense you don't have only one avenue to pull from in terms of income. So what are you worried about? It's a legitimate worry, but I think you're over worrying. I think what ultimately is happening here, you need to be careful that your concern about whether you have enough to live off of as you take this journey doesn't lead you into being materialistic and greedy and gluttonous. You don't want to be so concerned about whether you can afford everything you will need to afford that you become stingy. Hold on to hope that you have not just enough, but more than enough, and will have more than enough in the long run to take this journey. I think it's an important one that you will be so happy and so much better for having experienced it. And I think you know this deep down. I think that's why the Queen of Swords is here. You have the perspective to understand this is a journey not only that you want to take, but that deep in your soul you know you need to. So these worries here are very natural. You must have Earth somewhere in your chart for this to be a concern. Don't let it weigh you down so heavily. There is hope. There is a light. You have enough to start, and you will have enough over the course of this journey to make it through. Leo has drawn inverted 10 of Pentacles, inverted Hermit, 5 of Swords, inverted 7 of Pentacles, and you have 2 Mermaids, light, and move forward. Leo, I think you are being over hard on yourself about how long you are taking to reach your current goal, as several of the other signs have been dealing with, it would seem. The inverted 10 of Pentacles tells me that you feel you have outright failed. But I don't think that's true. Inverted Hermit is a sign that you have perhaps been too introspective and too isolated for too long. You need to come back out of your shell and be part of the world, interact with friends and family again. 5 of Swords is an unbridled ambition and needing to win at all costs. It also can indicate sneakiness, but I don't think that's necessarily factored in here. Inverted 7 of Pentacles is working without recognition or reward. It's feeling like you've put in so much work and have gotten so little, if anything at all, out of it. I think you have worked hard for a goal, but haven't received as much as you thought you would, or haven't received it by the time you thought you would. It's either taking longer or in smaller amounts. And this is causing a cycle of insecurity in your head that has led you to think that you've just outright failed at this goal. But you're not done yet. You are not done yet. The 7 of Pentacles usually pops up when it's upright to let you know that your work is starting to pay off. So of course you haven't gotten your reward yet. You haven't done enough work for it yet. You feel like you've put in so much work already because you're really ambitious. You really want whatever is at the end of this path. And that is commendable to a point. Let me give you a gardening analogy. When we are caring for plants, we need to care for them at all stages of the year. If the flowers you've planted and have been tending to haven't bloomed yet, it might be because it's not the season for them to bloom. Not all flowers bloom every single day, 365 days a year. For one thing, the winter makes it very difficult for many flowers to bloom. They usually will hibernate until spring. Some flowers bloom at first light at dawn, and then close up by midday and are closed until the next dawn. Some flowers only bloom at night. Some will bloom in the summer and then go dormant and wait until the summer again. Some only bloom in the spring, like lilies and irises. Perhaps you haven't gotten the reward yet because it's just not time, but you need to keep working toward that goal in order to earn it when it is time for that goal and that reward to be yours. You can't stop watering the flower just because it's not the season for it to bloom. It will wither and die. And in working so hard for this and getting so distraught over the lack of reward, you've shut yourself off. So it's no wonder that you think you failed. You've had no one else to talk to about this to help reassure you that it's just not time yet. Your work is paying off even if you aren't seeing the result physically in front of your face yet. Take your time. Keep moving forward. And the light card is also further emphasizing the point of the Hermit. Let your light shine. Let others see it. Come out of your shell. Be part of the world again and be you. Keep working toward this goal and stop getting so distraught and so just irrevocably depressed just because you haven't seen the result you want yet. It will come when it is time. Virgo, you have drawn for Samhain inverted Ace of Swords, inverted Five of Wands, the Empress, the King of Wands, inverted Knight of Swords, and the Light Mermaid Oracle. You are confused and feeling a little chaotic right now, Virgo. I suspect there is an imminent change that you are nervous about that is going to put you into a position where you're nervous about the responsibility, I think. You're nervous about what it entails, not just for you, but for others that might be connected to it. The inverted Five of Wands indicates conflict avoidance. I think you're perhaps nervous about what sort of conflicts may come up as a result of this change. I understand wanting to mitigate conflict and wanting to avoid it, at what cost it may come. Sometimes there is no avoiding it. Some conflict is unfortunately necessary in order to really actually get the goal you're after done and get to the end of whatever goal you have. That said, you do have the Empress, who is motherhood, she's fertility, she is nurturing, she's caring, and you have the King of Wands, who is big picture, he's a leader. I think these qualities here, the Empress and the King of Wands together with the Light Mermaid card, are your counsel here. View everything that comes to you with both the practical, big picture perspective, and let yourself come into this leadership role that is laid out before you. Leaders do make mistakes at times. There is no avoiding mistakes, and just like sometimes there's no avoiding conflict. Don't be so worried about the conflict that you make what is perhaps the poorer decision for the sake of avoiding it. Approach this from the perspective of a motherly, matronly role. Keep hold of compassion and keep your eyes on the bigger picture, not just the nuance of the smaller issue. The inverted Knight of Swords also cautions against being unaware of consequences. Because again, wanting to avoid conflict is honorable, but sometimes the bigger consequence of not having that confrontation or that conflict is worse. So consider all of the consequences and all of the pros and cons of decisions before you make them. Make sure you have your eyes on that, and be sure you and everybody else around you are ready to temper and deal with those consequences when they arise, depending what decisions get made. That said though, keep true to you. I think this is another reason that the Empress and the King of Wands have also come up. Together with the Light card, let your light shine. Be true to you. Be you. Let others see you for who you are and understand your heart and mind for who you are, and let yourself shape the role as you fill it. These 3 cards are reminding you never to forego your own integrity and your own instinct and intuition, your compassion and nurturing qualities for the sake of trying to make everybody happy. It's impossible to make everybody happy, but there are going to be solutions to every issue that make as many of the parties involved happy as possible. Last but certainly not least, we have Libra's Samhain reading, which consists of 9 of Cups at the bottom of the deck, 8 of Wands, inverted 4 of Swords, inverted Wheel of Fortune, inverted 4 of Wands, and your mermaid is awareness. Things are moving relatively well. I think you just have some things you need to keep in mind as you keep moving forward through this season, Libra. The 9 of Cups is emotional stability, and it is comfort, which is good. It's great that you're in this moment. The 8 of Wands is rapid action and quick decision. I think some things are going to start moving kind of quickly, and in part it's going to be because of you. This inverted 4 of Swords signifies a restlessness. You are eager for these things to move, for these things to be done, which is fine. Just make sure that even in this restless state, you are taking breaks, you are taking time to take care of yourself, especially because the inverted wheel does remind you that some things are going to be out of your control. So as things are moving really quickly, if there are sudden points where you can't do anything further, take that as an opportunity to rest and take a break, rather than trying to beat through the delay and potentially doing more harm to yourself and your goal. It could also warn that there's some bad luck or some serious obstacles that are going to come up. And again, you need to make sure that you are approaching each obstacle as fresh as possible rather than running yourself ragged. The inverted 4 of Wands also warns you to make sure you are communicating with any other people involved with any aspect of whatever this situation is as thoroughly and clearly as possible. No matter how easy or difficult, long or short the conversation might be, you need to have some of these conversations. You can't do everything alone. No one on this earth is meant to. We're human, we're social creatures. As emotionally stable as you are, and as strong and bright as that creative flame and that spirit is burning for you, make sure to keep taking care of your mind. Take those breaks. Remember, not everything is in your grasp, and talk to people. The awareness card is further backing up basically all 3 of these. You are very in tune with what's going on around you. You are very keen of mind, of perspective, and so it urges you to listen not only to your logic but to your intuition as well, and to be as aware as you can be. Be so fully aware of all of the aspects of each situation you go through in this season of Samhain. Be very aware of consequences. Be very aware of all facets and all aspects of things. How other people are thinking, how they're feeling, consequences, and so, like several of the other readings, be aware of consequences. Just be aware of the full situation rather than just being stuck perhaps in your own perspective. It will probably help in some of these scenarios that come up. And there we have our 12 tarot horoscopes for the season of Samhain for 2024. I hope you have found any needed guidance or direction or reassurance in at least one of the readings in this video, and I wish you all abundant clarity as we reflect, as we honor our ancestors and our passed on loved ones, and as we prepare in the last vestiges of autumn as we move into winter at Yule. Blessed Samhain. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, you probably know where the buttons and the links are to show me that love. I presume you've been on the internet or at least YouTube long enough to learn where these buttons are, and most vloggers will say at least once where they are, so I don't need to spoon feed that to you, right? If nothing else, I do hope you will subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't done so already, so you never miss a video. If you'd like to see more content like this, I have all of my divination related videos linked in a playlist in the cards and in the description, along with my Linktree portal if you would like to follow my adventures on other social media planes. As always, I would like to give a special huge thanks to my Covenant patrons who continue to be my biggest supporters, and if you, dear viewer, would like to join their ranks, again, check that Linktree portal for my Patreon, where pledges start at $1 a month. Thanks again, stay tuned for more footage of building Sybil's garb, as well as the Baton Rouge Zydeco game vlog, and some upcoming event vlogs, hopefully later this month, and I will see you all again very soon. Keep aiming, my loves. Mwah! Bye, y'all.